Okay, everyone, welcome to day number 4 of our Google Apps class. This is the wrap-up and summary. We just saw a short video on what? Julius Caesar, right. Julius Caesar, Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. And is anybody wondering why we watched that? Nobody's wondering?
Yeah, I was definitely wondering.
Is anybody in California wondering why we watched that?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, good. And how it relates to Google Apps. Okay. Now, if you go back to today's summary of what today's class is, does that help? So let's look at that. This is the easy part. Okay, so let's see, who is up close? Ed, why don't you read the first paragraph?
I got it.
Okay, Scott.
What, from yesterday or?
Yeah, the first paragraph.
Okay, yesterday we tried something new, which in itself was a good idea. Writing a white paper on what we know about Google Apps and how we can help, how they can help us.
Right. Okay, so staff in LA, I went through some of the papers. Everybody, you might have notes on at the bottom. I think Crystal or staff in LA, maybe Stephanie, somebody looked at your papers and wrote notes on them. People here, I put comments on your things. Formatting was not important, but if you do formatting, you should try to do it right. And so here would be a hint. If we always talk about we have 8 Google apps, it's better to number them than just to put bullets. Okay, this is about communicating, and even in communicating to yourself, you want to make it easy to follow. Okay, now some people took the assignment seriously, some people didn't take it seriously. That's okay, it's up to you. This is going to be, you know, we've got the downtown project people coming in here today at 2, talking about a job fair. We have Goodwill Industries could show up at any time, talking about sending students here, and also putting people in employment positions. They would be considered jobs with Goodwill. Even if you're in a retail store, I don't think anybody would say that's a calling or destiny position, but it is a job. You know, like anything else, the more you put into something, the more you're going to get out of it. If we're supposed to be doing something at this time during the day, I can hear people clicking on their mouse. Does anybody think I can't hear you just because I can't see your screen? It doesn't mean I don't know that you're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So you are free to do whatever you want. But when it comes time to the employment part, don't blame the school if you're not on the list. Okay, because we are only going to place people who are going to make the school look good. We are not here so that you make the school look bad. Okay, now as I have said, I support everybody doing what they feel is the right thing for them. I'm completely supportive of that. But you need to understand, I'm not going to drag the school down because you want the school dragged down because you're not willing to be a good employee. So, you know, some people in the past have said their showing up means they're supposed to get a job. Not only do they get a free education, where the state's paying it, or the VA's paying it, or the Department of Labor's paying it, but all they have to do is come to class and they're supposed to get a job. Unfortunately, employers don't think that way. Employers don't say, I needed somebody and you're the person we chose, so we're now stuck with you. Now I have to change to make you happy. If anybody thinks that, please investigate that meta-narrative. Okay? That meta-narrative is false. Okay? This is the place you practice being the best you can be. Yes, Deborah.
When I first came here, I didn't know anything about it.
That's okay.
I don't know now.
You do know a lot more than you knew. Don't worry about it. You've got 15, 13, 12 more weeks.
I'm not a good employee.
All you need to do is do your best. Do the best to the ability you have.
I really feel like I'm not.
Okay, that's a good point. Now, a lot of people, and Victoria Scott could talk about this because Victoria in California, this is her second time around. And Victoria was a, what was your shop steward, Victoria?
Shop steward.
She was a shop steward for the post office. And she was here in August of 2012, injured, some stuff, back for a freshener, refresh on the program, and you know, Victoria is very good. We offered Victoria a job before, and hopefully that still might be the case in the future. But you don't get to just show up and think that's good enough. And good employees, and so Deborah, to your question and your point, don't worry about how you're doing now. You're going to be a lot better. Okay? That's all you have to focus on. The system does work. Okay? I don't think there's anybody here who can say they haven't improved at all. Right? Can anybody say that? No. And the more you put into it, the better you're going to be. But if you develop bad habits, it's going to come back and haunt you, because when the job fair comes and they say who's the first person we should take, guess who that's not going to be? No, it's going to be the person who doesn't have the good habits. We're out there saying any adult, a motivated adult who goes back to school and has these skills is going to be the best employee. That's what we're saying. And if we put people in positions and they're no better, or maybe they have bad habits, that completely negates what we're telling the employer. And then their perception becomes their reality, right? And it doesn't mean that's true. Now with our capital T, it could be everybody else was great. It's just the one person they got wanted to cut corners every opportunity they had. So that little thing is out of, that video we watched is out of Julius Caesar, Shakespeare thing, and it says, you know, let's see, who's got it up? It's in your Google Plus.
There's a tide
when you
in,
search or lose our vision.
Okay.
there is a tide in the affair of men, which sanketh the flood leads on to future. Fortune. Omitted all the virtue of their lives. Voyage of life is bound in shallows and in miseries.
Okay, so stop. Now let's think about that. Imagine you're on a boat. You're on a boat. There's low tide and there's high tide. What happens if the tide is high in your boat? Can you go further?
Yeah.
What happens if the tide is out?
You're not going in.
Yeah, you can't. And if you're thinking in terms of little rivers that are near the ocean. Oh, hold on. This is close. Hello, Dave. What? Sure. Okay. 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 Perfect. Bold. Okay, thanks. Bye, Dave. And that was Dave Gould. Okay, so sorry, everyone. That wasn't the president, but it was a downtown project person from University of Iowa who's here. So imagine you have this boat. The tide is high. You have a lot more things can go right. You've got a lot more places you can go if you seize the opportunity when the tide is high, right?
Yeah.
Then when the tide is low, or let's think about Shackleton. what was it like when he had open water versus, and they had the boats versus when they're trying to drag the boats across the ice.
Yeah, big difference.
Okay.
They almost all died.
Huh?
They almost all died.
Yeah, they almost all died. So for our purposes here, the opportunity is to come to school to learn these skills, the typing, Microsoft Office, medical terminology, QuickBooks, whatever it is, and the cloud especially, to learn these and apply them. This is when the tide is high. Okay? If you are in here and you only give an hour or two a day, and it's kind of like pulling you along, you're only doing it because you can't just spend time on YouTube or whatever. You can't spend time doing the things on the computers you want to do, then you're not going to get a lot out of it. And, you know, I will stretch, the school will stretch to paint the best possible picture of everyone here, but we're not going to lie and say somebody who's bad is good. Okay, we're going to put the best possible case on it, but we're not going to say something that is just a lie. So the point of the video is to get, you know, over 500 years ago, William Shakespeare is saying, here is the thing, when you have an opportunity, take the opportunity. This is how everybody's life is. Well, there's times in our lives where it's tough, and there's times that are less tough. This should be viewed as an opportunity to learn more, to get better, and then to apply those skills to other things. This should be the time that you do that. If you don't want to do it, that's okay. Just don't have expectations that the tide is out, but all of a sudden you're going to go someplace, because you're not. Not going to go anyplace if when the tide is in or out, when the tide is out, that you're going to get somewhere. Okay? When it comes time to week number 13 or week number 17 or whenever after the week after you graduate, if you don't have a position, don't say it's somebody else's fault. Now, especially here in Las Vegas, we don't do medical terminology, we don't do QuickBooks yet. So in the afternoons, what we do is we should be working on our employment plan. Okay? And you're not going to find your employment plan watching a music video. I can assure you of that. Okay? You might find something you're passionate about, which is good. But you really need to be identifying employers, coming up with reasons why they should do things for you. So anyway, that's the long-winded preamble to this is an opportunity, but you have to learn Google Apps. Yes, Deborah.
I came into this program assuming that I was going to go adventure to medical.
Okay, medical starts next week, the week after that.
So I really wanted
You have the opportunity to do it, yes. Okay, and if you change your mind, again, that's on you. I support your having the right to do that. But you know, you get out of it what you put into it. If you put half energy into something, don't expect it's going to be great. Okay, fair enough?
Yes.
Victoria, what do you have to say?
What do I have to say? I agree with you.
I know, Victoria agrees. Thank you, Victoria. How about you, Dennis?
Pardon?
Oh, I concur.
Okay.
Up to what you put into it.
Okay, so this is the time to take advantage, to develop good skills, the best skills you can have. And we have had students in the past in LA say they went to job interviews, they talked about the cloud, it made the difference. Stephanie can talk about taking her brother to the doctor at Kaiser. The doctor was in Sacramento. It was all a Google app thing on the cloud. It was a Hangout on Air. Google Docs were used to keep track of patient records. And you know, when I go to the doctor now, there's no paper folders. There's no files. Everything is the doctor's on the computer, the nurse is on the computer. They're taking your blood. Everything is computerized, and you know, they don't want to have to train people. They want people who already know this stuff. They want people who know how to type. You know, the bane of the doctor's existence when I'm over there is doing this on the keyboard, one finger at a time instead of getting it done quickly. So this is the time to do that. Now, having said all that, first of all, are there any questions? Anybody have any statements? Anybody disagree, agree in California? Anybody want to say anything? Screw you, Bevilacqua. It's easy for you to say.
Give it to the director.
Huh? Yeah.
I'm not going to say it.
Okay. So, yes, Jim.
I agree with you. You get out of it what you put into it, and rather than stay stagnant where we've been, we're moving forward. And
Well, you are moving forward. The question, you can't help but be here and move forward, right? If you're
Right,
here,
you're doing what you're supposed to do.
well, if you're here, you're going to be moving forward. You might be moving very slowly because you're not putting a lot of time. You might be moving slowly because you don't know anything. Okay, that's okay. Anybody here who was here when Tellus was here, there's nobody who knew less, well, maybe Red. Just kidding. Just kidding. Nobody knew less than Tellus. And Tellus had a disadvantage in typing because what? He's missing a finger. So he progressed a lot, tremendous amount, got up to, I think, did Tellus get up to 40 words?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Gabrielle.
I just have a question, comment. In some areas I'm doing okay, and some I'm completely lost, and you know, I feel that I need attention in those areas. I'm not understanding, and you know, for me to jump in and dive in when I'm not understanding what isn't going to happen. It's not that I'm not committed to it. I need someone to sit down and explain this. Maybe the wrong class for me, maybe not
No.
happening.
Okay.
What do you say to that?
Okay, I say two things. First of all, the goal here is for you to become an autodidact, to be able to learn to teach yourself. Okay. The second thing is, we know that everybody, you can't, it's not hard to just teach yourself. Otherwise, everybody would do that. The second thing is the Navy SEAL, our Navy SEALs approach of learn one, do one, teach one. Now, unfortunately, we can't sit everybody next to somebody who is much stronger. You are both helping each other. So part of your learning, Gabriella, is because you're helping Anita. And when you tell Anita, that reinforces you learning something. On the Navy SEALs, learn one, do one, teach one, where do you learn the most? When you're teaching. You learn nothing when somebody is showing you. Because what happens? What do we observe in here? I go over to Scott's computer, I say, go ahead and do this. Blah, 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 blah. No, it's not just that. It's when you're teaching somebody,
Practical hands-on.
and I say, Scott, do this, do this, do this. He's just listening to what I say and he's doing it. He's not really remembering. Okay? When you come back and say, okay, now Scott, you do it, then he has to remember. And that's when everything goes to hell. Scott. Okay? For example, Scott probably still doesn't remember in documents how do you save. Google Drive on documents. How do you save a file?
How do I save? I know how to save one now.
How?
On Google Docs.
Yeah.
You go to Drive and then you put create up.
How do you save the file that you've been typing?
You press share with me.
Save as.
Save.
It's
No,
Google Docs.
it automatically saves it.
I thought you meant save it to the class file.
No.
Oh, I know you don't have to
That's
save
in Word.
In Word.
That's in Word.
I know. I said I
Okay,
know
so
you don't have
et
to save
voila. Okay.
it. I know you don't have to do anything. It just saves.
Okay, well, that's what you should have said.
Well, okay.
Nothing. I don't have to do anything. It automatically saves. So, to Gabrielle's question, what we can do is try to move. What we try to do is move people to someone who can help them. But where you learn most is where you're doing it yourself. Okay, that's where you learn the most. Yes, Brett.
perfect example is Friday allowed to have 6 weeks. Israel showed me the first couple of days I was here, and you moved me there to Trevon, and the stuff I do know how to do, he would do it now. Like, no, you got to let me do it, and then he'll click this, click that, and show me how to do it.
Right.
And the stuff that I do know how to do now, I retain that because I actually did it.
Right.
He showed me how to, but I actually did it.
So this is repetition. Okay, so for you, Anita, don't get frustrated because you're not learning it quickly. It's every student, that's not every student, but virtually every student, 90% of the students that go through Larson have a problem of they're not used to having to remember things. It's hard for adults who have not been in a school environment to learn. It's just like if you used to go to the gym, you don't go to the gym, but now you go to the gym, you don't pick up where you left off, right? You go back several steps. So don't get frustrated. The system works, and it's 90% mental. And so for you, Deborah, just don't give yourself negative messages of this is hard, I can't do it. Say, I just need every day, I'm going to try to get one character faster, one thing faster, or every week, I just want to get 5 words faster than last week, or 2 words faster than last week. And if you have those kind of goals and you set that for yourself, you'll do it. On your employment planning thing, if you create a list on your calendar, okay, by Friday, I want to get my map done. By this week, I want to have my calendar done. By the end of this week, I want to have whatever. You know, these things, break it down into small parts. Now, let me give you an example. MIT, good school, right? Everybody's heard of MIT?
Yeah.
Okay, good engineering, computer science school. They did a study of what are the most, what jobs can you not make a mistake at? What is the single most, I can't remember how they phrased it, but what job is there that you cannot make a mistake doing?
Airplane guys.
Pilot.
Okay, pilot, no.
President.
Huh?
Doctor.
Nuclear reactor, no.
Brain surgeon.
Doctor.
No. So they're looking at what kind of jobs do people have where they cannot make a mistake on their
Air
job.
traffic control.
Oh, you mean
No, because there are backups. No, there's if you make a mistake, something bad is going to happen. It's a really hard job.
Computer programming,
It's-
I'm guessing.
No, because there's backup type things.
All disabled.
Bomb disabler, yeah, but to become a bomb disabler, you have to really learn a lot before they let you disable a bomb.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I did not a good job of describing what the question was, but the answer is the most difficult job. No, the most difficult job, or the job where you just can't make a mistake, is on an aircraft carrier, launching and landing planes on an aircraft carrier. It's not the pilot.
No.
It's the 18-year-old guy who graduated from high school that is doing his job. And then they'll describe what's the difference between the runway on an airplane and, on an aircraft carrier and an airport.
About
One
1,000
moves.
feet.
One is moving
Yeah.
in all 3 dimensions,
Yeah.
right? Up, down, left, right, it's going all over the place. Is it longer or shorter?
Shorter.
You've got a shorter thing. Now, when you're the pilot and you're trying to find the aircraft, is it easier or harder?
It's moving.
It's moving, but it's just this little dot in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
If you're trying to find Las Vegas, you can find Las Vegas from 500 miles away.
Yeah, you look for the bright light.
Well, that light, but other lights, oh yeah, there's Texas, here's this, there's Denver, there's Salt Lake City, whatever. You can figure out where it is.
Yeah.
If you're at night in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and you're trying to find the aircraft carrier,
Yeah, you better have
not really easy. But we're not talking about the pilot, we're talking about the crew. So you have guys that are like 18, 19, 20 years old doing a thing. Now at an airport, how fast do planes take off? Every
Here,
how many minutes?
every minute here. It seems every 5 minutes.
It's like every few minutes. On an aircraft carrier, how often
Every
do
30
planes?
seconds.
It's like every minute. planes are taking off.
Really?
So this is the most complex thing, according to MIT, is these young guys, not well educated, working on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier. So you have guys that shouldn't be doing that, right? On paper,
Yeah.
we want to have high school graduates launching and landing jet planes on aircraft carriers. On paper, that doesn't make sense, right? Because what do you have to be an aircraft or a flight controller?
You gotta go to school.
You gotta have a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And what about to be a mechanic? Okay.
Certified.
So the thing is, they're able to do it because they do a very good job of breaking it down into, 1,000 different tasks. And all you have to do is learn these 5, or you have to do this, or this week, here's what you need to learn. So you can take any task and break it down to be manageable. So for you, Deborah, and anybody else who's new and in California that feels that you're lost, don't get overwhelmed by thinking of the end result. Don't think in terms of I'm at 9 words a minute, I got to get to 40.
Right.
You're not going to go from 9 to 40. You're going to go
10.
from 9 to 10, and like if it was Billy, where were you, Billy, when you started?
6, 7.
6 or 7, and now you're up to 18.
Whoa.
And it might go 17, it might go down to 15, then it'll go up, and it's sort of like this, right? The key thing is don't get frustrated and don't tell yourself negative things. If you tell yourself you can't do something, what should you expect is going to happen?
Not gonna happen.
do it.
You're not going to be able to do it. It's going to be right. Your brain is going to make out whatever you want to happen, it's going to try to make that happen.
You can do this.
Right, Jamie.
I was at 3 miles an hour on 10 when I got here.
3 miles an hour?
Yeah, last week I
3 words a minute.
finally got it up to 20 this week.
Good. See?
And he's the best
Last
I've ever
week
seen
I
in
was
my
like,
life.
there's no way it's ever going to increase. And I'm up to 20 this week, so.
Good. Okay. So we do a lot here because there's a lot that needs to be learned to get you up to where other people are that you're competing with for jobs. You can't get an office job if you can't type. You can't get an office job if you don't know Microsoft Office. But if you've been working someplace like Victoria, and Victoria, how long were you at the post office?
27 years.
27 years?
Yeah.
A long
Okay.
time, she was a
Okay? If you've been doing that particular thing for that long, and you don't need to be a Microsoft Office person. You have to learn Microsoft Office good enough. You have to learn to type good enough. So those 2 things are a lot to absorb, right? Or you have to learn medical terminology good enough to get there. But those aren't enough because you're competing with people who've been doing that for 20 years. Okay, you have to have something they don't know, and that's the cloud. So when I looked at the papers, some people put energy into it, other people didn't put energy into it. Some people either didn't know how or where to share it, or they just decided not to share it or do it. Okay, again, that's on everyone. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Just don't expect something good is going to happen.
You said in the breakdown of the instructions that to give a copy to Stephanie and Crystal
Yeah.
and to you. Were we supposed to do anything special or no?
You have to share it.
Share.
I didn't share mine. I put it in the file though.
Were we only supposed to share it
with
with
our
own director?
Well,
and they were supposed to share
if you share it with me,
Share with
that's all
everybody.
I care about.
Okay. that's
Unless you're in Los Angeles, and I think Crystal and Stephanie would be the same thing.
Okay, but your direction said to share it with the 3 of you. So
Okay.
when we share it with you, is that automatically share it with them?
No,
Why
but
didn't you say that all the classes read those directions? California class, so they
Okay,
do it to their director.
Okay, so is your thing, since I can't share it with those two, I'm not going to share it with anyone?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause I'm not sure what your message is.
My point is that we spent a lot of time trying to get Stephanie and Crystal's email so that we could share it with them, so that we could include them in our hangouts. It was a class.
Okay.
No, I understand now, Scott.
Okay. All right. So now that's a good point. What if you get to a place where the instructions are not clear?
Ask somebody.
Okay. Well, I think that ask. Number one, right? Number one is ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim
We
was
were all
very
working
helpful.
on it.
No, I understand. Okay. So now that doesn't happen, but the clock is ticking.
I
We
just
were
got
done.
one
We
on
were
my
just getting
paper
ready
copy. I don't think
to
there's-
forward it. Everybody was done.
Okay. Well, I think the instructions had like step number 2 was to share. Right.
But when you left, you said, share it. You could have said, the people in California share it with
Okay.
people here.
Here's the point. Sometimes we can't expect the instructions are going to be A, completely clear to everyone, B, they're going to be completely accurate.
Yeah, right.
The question is, what do you do when you come to this, I don't know, I'm not sure what to do.
Do what you can do.
Right. You have to, what is the Marine Corps thing, Jim? Right. Okay.
Improvise, adapt, overcome.
Improvise,
Adapt, overcome.
Okay.
Okay.
So you need to figure out, what do I need to do? Because at the end, everybody should know that the result or the goal is to share a white paper. So if you don't share the white paper, you didn't accomplish the goal.
I don't think I shared it with you.
Okay. So you don't accomplish the goal. Now here and in California, if you don't do it, it's either you don't have the ability or the desire. Okay. And if you don't say, I didn't know what to do, then we assume you didn't have the desire. Right? That would be the assumption.
Yeah, that would be the
Because
assumption.
a conclusion of all employers is if you ask an employee to do something and they don't do it, it's either they didn't know how or they didn't want to. Okay? They couldn't do it or they didn't want to do it. An employee who wants to do something but can't do it has a duty to say, I'm trying to get this done, but I've come to this roadblock. I don't know what to do from here. Good employees don't wait till the boss comes and says, why didn't you, I asked you to do something, you said okay, why didn't you do it? Good employees don't wait for the boss to come back and say, why didn't you do it? Right? Because then the boss thinks, what? You're not a good employee. You didn't care. I shouldn't, if you can't do something, it shouldn't be my problem to find out that you can't do your job. Okay? And if you say, well, I was waiting for you to come back and ask me where it was, or something like that, that's just not a good best practices habit. The good best practices habit is, if you don't know what to do, to ask. And part of our Navy SEALs thing
Ask the boss last.
is ask the boss last, but part of our Navy SEALs thing, you know, again, why do we implement the Navy SEALs program? Well, one reason is because you learn more when you're showing someone else. That's when you learn the most. You don't learn the most when someone is saying to you, do this, do this, do this, let me show you how to do it. And then what happens is you get into a habit and you start thinking, all I need to do is ask somebody and they'll do it for me. Okay, good. So that's one reason it's not good to not do it on your own. Or let me go back to the Navy SEALs thing. One reason we do the Navy SEALs thing is you learn the most when you're teaching other people.
I like showing other people.
Okay. You learn the most when you're showing other people. Now, secondarily, our whole point is you are going to know the cloud and what? When you talk to an employer, I know the cloud and what?
All the rest of the word.
I can bring this to your company. So I can teach it. But if your whole experience has been somebody showing you, When you get the microphone and you're told, okay, now you said you can show our people, and you don't feel comfortable doing that, you're not going to do a good job. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to say, I can't do it. This isn't for me. I need to be in a place where people show me. And then you're not going to end up where you want to be. Okay? Now, on the other hand, you are in, the tide is high right now. You're in the school in Nevada or in Southern California, career school like this, or even at UCLA. They don't teach this stuff at UCLA.
We're in a flood.
Okay? But if you don't see it that way, or if your perception is you need a bigger boat, or you need somebody to help you row the boat, then the tide is going to go out, and you're now going to be left with your boat in the mud, and you're going to be wishing you had rowed
the current
when the tide was with you. Okay? So back to the papers. Okay, so here's the thing. A white paper is about what you know. So we really wanted to see how much of Google Apps that you knew. And, you know, for a lot of people were absorbing it. What I would say is the people who didn't absorb it were not taking notes. They were thinking, all I have to do is I can watch it, I'll remember this. If I do it enough times, I'll remember. So one of the things in the white paper should come back to you in terms of, wow, I thought I knew what this Google Apps was, but now that I'm just sitting here with my keyboard and I have to talk about Google Apps, I don't know as much as I thought I knew. And then if you get in your interview and you get asked the question about Google Apps, which would be the nice, soft, lob pitch, you're going to choke. You're not going to do the best you can do. So for everyone here, if you found that you did not really get a clear, if it wasn't an easy assignment for you, and I know for many people it's not an easy assignment, but the things that we go over in class, you should be able to write down and repeat. Okay? Should be able to write down and repeat. So even if you have no clue of what Google Voice is, and I don't think anybody in here, maybe Rob was here when we did, and Trevon when we did Google Voice. Okay, Trevon was not here. Were you, Rob? Okay, Rob's the only person here who went through Google Voice. But how many times have I mentioned the term Google Voice?
Once, maybe twice.
Daily.
Enough.
Once or twice?
Well,
Daily.
Okay, a lot. Okay, the point is a lot. So everybody should know that Google Voice is an app, even if you don't really know what it does.
I know what it does, I just don't never use it.
I understand, and that's what I just said. I think I just said that. So, so for the people who did it, again, some people did really good, especially considering it was a short amount of time. Some people, it looked like they didn't even do it. Now that could be because they didn't have the ability or know or whatever, didn't ask somebody, the person they asked didn't know, didn't share, whatever, and get those turned in. So what we want to do, what the staff wants to do, is make sure that everybody feels comfortable with Google Apps. And the best way to feel comfortable with something is to practice what? Doing it. Okay, now, if, and I've said in terms of typing, if you're over 40, if your scores are over 40, you don't need to put as much energy into typing. Okay? If you don't have a clue on Excel, that's what you should be working on. Not typing. I get that typing is a lot of fun. Okay, I get it.
It's draining after a while.
Well, it's draining, but I get that it's fun and people like doing typing. I get that. But if you're typing 40 words a minute or 44 words a minute, it's not going to matter if they say, do you know Microsoft Office? And you say no. If you type 40 words a minute versus 80 words a minute, and they say, do you know Microsoft Office? And you say no. Do you know Word? And you say no. You're typing 80 words a minute doesn't really matter. Now, if they say, what is your 10 key? And you say it's 200 versus 80 or 100, it might matter. Because in 10 key, you're just seeing a number and you're entering that. In Word, it's a lot more complicated. You have to be able to format stuff, right? It's not just typing speed in Word, it's knowing commands. In 10 key, it's having a mind meld between your fingers and your brain. You see the number 5, you don't think of, okay, what finger is the 5? And where do I do it? You just do it, right? So it might be a little bit different in 10 key, but in typing, high typing speed, 80 words a minute, but not knowing Microsoft Word, it's not a benefit. If you type 40 words a minute and you know Word, and you have your Word certificate from here, that could be enough, but I think you really also need to know the cloud. So, so today the wrap-up is trying to stress, once again, the importance of the cloud and taking the opportunity here to just every day try to do a little bit more than you did yesterday. Now, if Thaddeus were here, in his speech, he would say the most successful people work how many hours a day?
3.
3. Why?
Because they do it
concentrate on
intensely.
what they're good at, and they put all their time into that.
Right. Total focus, total intensity. They're in the zone for 3 hours a day. You know, unfortunately, employers, where people go work in the office, they usually expect you to be there 8 hours.
And they want you
in case customers come. Okay, so if you put in 3 solid hours here and got everything done, really got all of your stuff done, and you were focused, that would be, and then you spent the other 4.5 hours doing YouTube or whatever, that's perfectly okay. But it's hard to have that kind of mental focus and intensity. If you do that, that's perfectly okay. But what's not good for you is, I know I should be doing Excel, but it's much more fun to do typing. Or, you know, I heard about this really cool music video. I'm going to watch that. That isn't going to help you. Okay? So in California, let's start with, Victoria's usually outspoken, and I'm saying that in a complimentary way.
Compliment.
Yeah, a compliment. So what do you think, Victoria, that I can do to support Crystal's efforts regarding Google Apps?
Try that again.
What do you think I can do to help support Crystal's efforts so that everybody becomes confident and competent with apps?
Actually, there's nothing you can do. Each student.
To support Crystal?
Say it again. I said, there's nothing you can do. Each student has to take it upon themselves.
Well, I certainly can't force anybody to do it, but I'm saying, what can I do to help Crystal? What's your observation of maybe I've skipped over something, there's just a fundamental thing people aren't getting?
Well, I'm getting it, so I can't say that I can't speak for the students. I'm getting it.
Okay, fair enough. Is Fernando there?
No. He
Okay,
hasn't
what
been
about
home.
Dennis?
Yeah.
I know I can see you.
Just reinforce what you're doing. We're on the right track, and just keep empowering the importance of it as you're doing. And I think that's about all that you can really do, and the rest will be upon the students.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is just give me the benefit of the doubt when I say the cloud is vital.
Okay, Ed,
Yeah. Yes, Chris.
Phyllis has something to say.
I just would like to say that sometimes when you give your class in front of your own personal class, that all the interruptions kind of make us not be able to focus over here. and get the one-on-one that we need.
Fair enough. That's
All
a
right.
that's a good thing. What, didn't we used to have this rule that Scott couldn't talk?
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't Scott one day promise I'm not going to say anything?
I won't say nothing no more.
Okay.
Ever.
We appreciate the energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a way to solve that.
Okay.
If you go on the calendar in the middle, I don't think we do this all the time, but wasn't that one? But I'm able to see the recording, and then there's a place here where you can enter questions.
Oh, right.
Type them in, and then you read them off.
Okay, so Carla brought up a point that when I do these
The
hangouts, there's a thing that says Q&A, and you can put in a question in there. The thing is, everybody's not watching it on their computer. They're watching it on the wall.
Oh, okay.
So, well, if you're watching the thing on the computer, then you can't be doing anything else, right?
No, but there's a space, even though we're here live.
Yeah.
I could type something in, and
right.
It should pop up on your screen.
Yeah, it will pop up on the screen. Okay, so that was a very good, fair point. Welcome to my world regarding interruptions. We will all work on it. There's a lot of energy here in Las Vegas because this is Las Vegas and that's how they roll here. Right? That's a compliment. This is one of the 7 great cities in the world. It's true. It's on truestories.com. Right. So, okay, we will definitely work on that. But please, if you can do as Carla said, there's a question and answer thing. That would be great. You know, how many cameras do we have there still, Crystal? Because I think there's only one running.
Yeah, there's only one running. We have 2 more in addition to this one.
Okay.
So only one running today.
So one thing that we can do that might be helpful would be if we get the other cameras working so we can see everyone, is if somebody has a question, they raise their hand.
Okay.
Then we can stop what we're doing. But what we'll do here is we will decrease the amount of chatter. I'm going to call it chatter. We'll decrease the amount of chatter, and but what's going on in California is very important and vital. So we don't want you to feel that this is not for you or that you're observing. We want you to feel that you're part of it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, what else? Anybody here? Anybody here have anything? Because it's break time. We've gone over. Okay, so that is the end of another week. I think maybe we'll start with Google Voice on Monday, since nobody knows what it is. And, yeah. Were you going to say something, Crystal?
No, I said, okay, sounds good.
Okay, good. So we will do that on Monday. We'll do Google Voice. Thank you, everyone. Please give your best effort on the Google apps. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I wasn't here when we did this, so I said I go ahead and do it.